It is a big week one in college football. We've got some awesome matchups. Number 14, Clemson will take on number one, Georgia in Atlanta, 11 a.m. on ABC. The Dogs are currently a 13.5 point favorite, Ted. What do you think about this one, man? Two massive college football brands going at it.
Yeah, it's hard to find a way to come out with a formula where Clemson wins the football game. I could see them making it close, but Georgia's just too talented. I know they're going to be down at running back. Um, they haven't said is ATN playing. They haven't said if he's going to play or not. I don't think.
Yeah, they haven't said
And
if
then
he's
they
suspended or not.
and then they've had another injury there, so I mean that's something to watch. But Georgia's just too talented. Now, I do I do feel like there's a little bit of I don't know, has Georgia plateaued a little bit? Is everything as buttoned up there as it has been in the past? We'll see. But I just Georgia's better at quarterback. They're better on the offensive and defensive line. They've got players at every single position group. I think Georgia wins it. I could see Clemson playing a really good game and keeping it tight, but I just got to go with Georgia with the win. This is like the last opportunity for Klubnik to show that he's got something, isn't it?
We haven't seen Cade Klubnik look like a guy capable of going out there and carving up a Georgia defense.
No.
That has not been what he has shown early in his career. I don't expect him to go into Mercedes-Benz in front of a bunch of Georgia fans and put an all-time performance together. I'm going to need to
It's
see that before I believe it, man.
it's hard going off of everything we've seen. The best he's ever looked, I feel like, was that game he came in for DJU, right? Where they just kind of finally pulled the plug on him. He's had some good stuff out there, but he looked like a playmaker that day. And I don't know, it's almost like he's settled too much into the quarterback thing instead of just going out and trying to win football games. But I don't know. I say it's kind of the last fight for Klubnik. It might be the last fight for Dabo as well. I mean, not that they're going to get rid of him or anything, but the pressure's going to ramp up pretty quickly on him. Whenever you're
That's
doing
my
something
prediction.
differently than everyone else.
That's my prediction. I think I could see this game being close for, a half, 2.5 quarters, because Clemson's got a really talented football team.
Mhm.
They're just playing a team that's more talented and way deeper than them
Mhm.
because their coach refuses to use the transfer portal. So I think Georgia's talent and depth will overwhelm Clemson over the 4 quarters. I expect Georgia to cover the 13 and a half. I think they win by 2 touchdowns, maybe like 17, something like that. But I think my main prediction is the conversation after this game is going to be about Dabo Sweeney's refusal to use the transfer portal and how it has led to Clemson no longer being an elite program. That's my prediction. I think that because if you match up against kind of I would say Georgia's the new standard in college football. That's fair, right?
Mhm.
If they blow your doors off in the opener, it's the natural place for the conversation to go. And unfortunately, Dabo's not taking phone calls on his coach's show anymore. So no one could call in and yell at him if that happens.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I'm just I respect what Dabo's doing. He's got his principles. And I'm not 100% convinced that it can't work. If you recruit well and you develop well, you should have a steady supply of talent that can play. We've seen it ourselves. The transfer portal helps and it hurts. It has hurt us in some position groups where we've been reliant on the transfer portal, and it's 1 year, hang on to your ass what happens in the spring. Like, hopefully we can get somebody to come in and fill the hole, because you keep throwing these patches at these different position groups. You're constantly trying to figure something out, and like, once you go with the portal, you always have to go with the portal. So part of me's kind of rooting for it to work. So
I I don't want Dabo Sweeney to fail. I don't, because I feel like that mentality is something you and I can connect with. Like, hey, I'm rolling with my guys.
yeah,
But his job is to do everything he can to put Clemson in the best position to win football games. That's his job.
yep.
And refusing to take a couple of big time wide receivers that would love to go play at Clemson, it makes no sense that he doesn't fill a couple of holes with just a couple of guys. You don't have to take 20 guys. Just take like 4 or 5 and get some dudes. Like, that's the only thing is no one would think of him any differently if he took 2 or 3 big time playmakers. I still think people would say, you know what, Dabo sticks with his guys.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe if you start doing it, then it all goes away. I don't know what his thought process is, but I think after this game, we're going to go, Dabo needs to use the portal because Georgia just whooped Clemson.
Feels likely.
Maybe Cade Klubnik will shock us.
Yeah.
All,
Yeah.
all I want is to be entertained. That's
That
all I
I'm the
want.
same way. I'm the same way. And frankly, I guess if we're talking about with Georgia, it's probably not going to matter, but some of these other games are. I guess we got to kind of root against SEC teams because, if we're talking about the SEC getting 3, 4, and some people even say 5 teams into the playoff, well, it wouldn't hurt for some of these teams to take a loss early.
I I agree. On to the next game. Number 19, Miami, traveling to the swamp to take on Florida. This game will be at 2:30 Central on ABC. Miami currently a 2.5 point favorite on the road. And Ted, I love how important this game feels for both teams.
No.
Billy Napier, that seat is hot. Mario Cristobal, I would say Mario Cristobal's seat isn't hot, but the expectations are extremely high. And that fan base expects for that program to take a step this year. And if you're going to meet the expectations that a lot of people have for Miami, you got to go beat Florida.
Yeah. I, I don't, I've been so beat down by the Miami expectations that it's hard to try to get on board again. It's over and over. But they got a legit quarterback, and that could make all of the difference in the world. So if if Cam Ward's got it, I think Florida, number one, I think Florida is way more talented than people maybe give them credit for. They're a dangerous football team. Like, I don't think Miami is in any position at all to feel like you start looking at what Florida's schedule's been or what their record's been recently and feel like you got this one in the bag. There ain't no chance. I feel like it's going to be a dogfight, and it'll probably come down to Miami having the better quarterback and they get the win. But I have a really hard time getting behind Miami for anything.
I think Cam Ward is the main reason The expectations are so high for Miami. Also, just a reminder, Damian Martinez plays for them now. If Mario Cristobal gets his way, they're just going to hand it that guy a ton and run all over Florida. But give me Florida outright.
Yeah.
And maybe it's my SEC bias starting to develop,
Already. All right.
but that's a tough place to play.
Mhm.
Man, that crowd is going to be fired up. I think Graham Mertz is a solid quarterback. He was way down on the list of what Florida's problems were last year. It, it's a it's a line of scrimmage game, man. I think Florida's offensive line and defensive line has a chance to compete, and if they can just eliminate some of these stupid things they did a year ago in all three phases of the game, then I think they got a chance to win this football game. There's so many new pieces on defense for Miami with all the transfers that they brought in, especially on that defensive line. It's kind of hard to know what to expect, but Billy Napier, man, it's a make or break year for that guy.
Yeah, it is.
And
And
coaching for
yeah,
your job and everyone, all those guys knowing that that can be a powerful thing, man. I don't know. I Miami could go in there and win by 2 touchdowns, but I don't think it's I don't think it's going to be easy, man. I like Florida in a really close game.
that's what I would like to see. I'd like to see Florida win it.
Could you
It's hard.
imagine? Could you imagine if Mario Cristobal has a game management error and it results in them losing this
Oh my
game?
gosh. Wow. Well, I don't, I'm not wishing like a mistake on him, but those types of things are fun in college football. Let's be honest, for the conversation. But I'm, I'm reluctantly, when I say that, I mean it. I am reluctantly picking Miami to win this football game. I do not want to, but Cam Ward is the difference maker for me. If he makes a
I
couple mistakes, throws a couple interceptions, Florida wins a football game.
completely agree. On to the next game. Number 7 Notre Dame travels to Kyle Field to take on the number 20 Texas A&M Aggies. This game was 6:30 on ABC. Currently, Texas A&M a 3-point favorite. Ted, I think we both think Texas A&M is going to be really dang good this year, don't we?
The SEC bias is real. I think this might be an ass kicking, frankly.
Mike Elko, I'm going to give the guy a lot of credit. First of all, I think he's just straight up football guy. Love that. It feels like that program has a different vibe. It's kind of been quiet,
Quiet, work. Yep.
just getting their work done. Nobody on the roster appears to be saying anything stupid. I don't know. I feel like they've got this kind of this workman like attitude now down in College Station. I don't like it. I hate that they hired a coach I like so much, but
Yep.
Kyle Field is not an easy place to play. And
No. And Notre Dame is going to walk in there and be like, what is this thing?
who are these psychos?
Right.
And one thing about this game, Riley Leonard is coming off a couple major surgeries, and he's going against his former head coach. Do you have any idea how many snaps of Riley Leonard Mike Elko has watched over the last couple years? He knows everything he doesn't do well and everything he doesn't see well. And he got to spend an entire offseason building a defensive game plan for this game. Like, I will be shocked if Riley Leonard doesn't make some mistakes in this game.
Oh,
That would
yeah.
be an indictment on Mike Elko.
Well, Riley Leonard, from the whenever he's been at his best, it's whenever he's like in scramble mode, right? Whenever he's
Right.
running around making plays. That's going to be incredibly difficult to do against this Texas A&M defense. They are they may have the most athletic defensive front in the country. Athletes all over the place. It's going to be so loud in there. It's going to be difficult for Riley Leonard to operate. I I'm telling you, I know A&M's a 3-point favorite, but it wouldn't shock me if this was a beatdown. And I know Notre Dame's number 7 coming in, and I'm not even suggesting that Notre Dame isn't a good football team, but the situation is not a good one for Notre Dame.
A&M is probably the more talented football team in this game.
Yeah,
I mean, Jimbo Fisher, say what you want about the guy. It didn't go well. He did not leave the cupboard bare
no,
for Mike Elko. They got some dudes.
physically, it is an impressive roster.
And I think Connor Wigman is legit. If they protect him, if they keep him clean, I think he's a big time player. I
Yeah,
think he can rip it.
yep.
So we'll see how it goes. But one matchup to keep an eye on, Notre Dame is starting a freshman against Nick Scourton. They're starting a freshman at left tackle, Ted.
Woo, buddy, that is a grown man on the other side.
By the way, I was doing some stuff with Danny Cannell today, and he said it's Scorton.
Scorton,
I've never heard it said that way. Am I just an
I haven't
idiot?
either. I don't know. Maybe I
Have I
don't
been
know.
saying this guy's name wrong for like 3 years? It's
He
fine.
needs to change it because Scourton sounds way
Scourton's
more.
way better. Whatever it is, the guy's an absolute specimen.
He is. He's a freak show.
So
That is going to be. Can you imagine a freshman in that stadium on third down against that guy? Gotta get a chip here. Give me a chip.
yeah, I I yeah I think A&M's going to win the game. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game.
Yeah.
I don't see this being one where both teams are going up and down the field. I expect Notre Dame's defense to be really really good as well. So I think this could be more of kind of a defensive, like a Teddy Lehman style game.
Yes.
So I'm really excited to watch this one. I'm so glad that OU's game is on Friday night.
I know.
This Saturday
It's
slate is awesome.
Saturdays. It's got to be one of the best opening weekends I can remember. Maybe the best.
Just some marquee. Do you want to hit the Sunday night game between LSU and USC? We're going to record early on Sunday. So this game will not have happened, and we're going to do another episode.
What's your early thought?
Both teams are trying to figure out if they can put together a defense, new defense coordinators. I just think that LSU, part of me thinks Brian Kelly is going to look at it and go, let's take them into the deep water and see if they can swim.
Yeah.
And there's one unit I trust in this football game, and it's LSU's offensive line.
Yep.
And when you don't know a ton about each defense, both teams having to replace Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks, give me the squad that's got one of the best offensive lines in the country.
Yeah.
Give me LSU.
Yeah, I've been kind of flipping back and forth on this one. I Lincoln and you they are it's going to be the type of game that they are comfortable in. Right? Don't you think? High scoring.
Well, what happens if LSU just wants to grind it out
Yeah.
and
They
say,
don't
you
have
know
the
what?
ability to. Yeah.
They have not, USC's defense under Lincoln Riley has not fared well against physical football teams.
No.
And You've got a relatively, I mean, you've got an inexperienced quarterback in Garrett Nussmeier. What's a young quarterback's best friend, man? Run the damn ball. Run it
Yeah,
right at him with your elite offensive line.
it's a good point. It's a good point.
Just try to maul their ass.
Yeah,
See if they
yeah.
hold up.
That's
I
well, they won't.
and
You just
then
got to
and
get
then
some
let Kyron
stops.
Lacy run as fast as he can down the field and let Nussmeier throw it to him.
Yeah, if you can get some stops, that's the way to do it. Yeah, I'm fascinated to see what the environment's like there. I imagine LSU is going to take a ton of fans there. I wonder what you how USC shows up.
I I'm trying to imagine two fan bases that could be more different.
Oh my God. I mean,
I
whew.
guess you could say like Stanford, maybe, but USC fans are
I, the good thing is at least they're playing it in Vegas and I they're not crawling out of the swamps to go to the game in Baton Rouge. You know what I'm saying? It's like I think you've got a different group that's
Do you think the city of Las Vegas is ready for LSU fans?
fair point. Fair point. Should be a
Yeah.
good game though. I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm fascinated by it. It's going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one.